Hello and good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending where you are. I am Colin Weingarten. I am a product manager at Onset, and today we're going to be going over our data management using IoT data loggers for clinical storage and monitoring. So specifically, our solution to clinical monitoring and how we believe we can make things a lot easier for businesses such as clinics and hospitals and VFC providers through an automated system. Just to give you a little bit of background on me, I've been doing this for about 7 years or so, specializing in VFC programs, clinical studies, with specifics to temperature monitoring and storage monitoring. Done a lot of work involving CDC regulations as well as other regulatory bodies. So if you do have any questions regarding regulations or anything like that, definitely feel free to ask me them at some point. I am going to ask that you you can ask questions as you go if you type them in. I'm not going to be able to really answer them until the end of the presentation. But I will go through them and answer as many as I can, and hopefully I'll be able to answer everybody's question. Good. And on the agenda today, we are going to be talking about current business and regulatory challenges. So in terms of business, what are we typically seeing with customers such as clinics and VFCs, hospitals? What are they trying to accomplish from a business standpoint? We're going to look at some data logger alternatives, our solution to the regulatory and business challenges, solutions towards the CDC guidelines, our InTemp solution in general, and then we're going to discuss something that we refer to as a centralized system and how that's really going to benefit your business needs and create a lot of automation and efficiencies within your organization. After that, we'll look at a little bit of our InTemp Connect system and show you how we're going to accomplish those things with our solution. And then I'll give you a brief overview of our products and our company. So the first thing, again, we'll talk about is regulatory challenges. One of the big things is, and as you all know, you have to have continuous temperature monitoring. The CDC is now requiring that you're going to have a probe and glycol that's detachable. They want you to do the daily checks. I know a lot of clinics and VFC providers are doing these in a written log, which can be pretty time-consuming and difficult to manage. And then there's, of course, reporting, so what you're sending into the CDC to prove that everything is within the correct condition. So the three main business challenges that we're seeing with our current customers and a lot of people within the industry is trying to achieve cost reductions, especially with these types of programs. So how do you do things like reduce the amount of training that's required, making sure that your product isn't reaching bad temperature points where you're having to throw out the product, making sure that you're meeting your own internal QA compliance. And with training, we know that with clinics and VFC providers that you have some of the highest turnover rates in terms of nurses and clinic managers. So we know that can be a big pain point for this industry. So things that are out in the market today, you have USB options, you have Wi-Fi and cellular options. With USBs, you have to constantly remove them in order to download the data, so you have to take them out of the storage and then plug them into your computer. Not the most efficient way to do things. It can be, at times, depending on which product you're buying, it can be difficult to program or reprogram the loggers if you need to, saying if you need to record at different intervals or change your temperature alarm settings due to a different product or whatever it is. Not all USB devices can be reprogrammed manually by yourself. You have to do it with the company. And a lot of them don't offer battery replacements. So you would have to replace the logger after the battery died or was getting close to dying. With Wi-Fi and cellular, of course, that's going to rely on the dependability of the network, which is something you may not necessarily want to do. There is a costly initial hardware investment. Cellular solutions can be fairly expensive, and Wi-Fi typically is more expensive than like a USB solution. It's just a hardware thing where it does require more programming and more hardware within the device itself. And some of these do have expensive annual plans just for the data upload. With our solution, we are using Bluetooth monitoring. So our loggers are communicating with either your phone or what we call a gateway, which is something that we sell as a product here. And they're communicating with those things via Bluetooth. Bluetooth is a cheaper option. It's reliable in terms of connection, and it allows you to access the system in multiple different ways depending on what your needs are. So it gives you a bit more flexibility. And this is all connected to our overall system. So we have a cloud system that allows you to create a lot of automation. It allows you to download reports and customize your reports. And we'll see a bit of that today as I go through the demonstration. We'll actually take a look at the cloud system. Again, the gateway is one of those things that connects to the loggers, and it also is what enables automation within the system. And that's one of the big things I really want to highlight throughout this presentation is how we can create a system that requires little to no effort in terms of training and getting people on board within your organization. And gateways are what enable you to do that. They communicate with the loggers and then tell it exactly what they need to do at the time you need it to do it. In terms of CDC guidelines, our loggers are CDC compliant. They do continuous data logging, and they have an accuracy of plus or minus 0.5 degrees Celsius. It does allow for traceability, meaning that within the system it will say who's done what. So you'll actually see in reports the usernames and says who did a download when, who did a daily check that you do for your handwritten logs. I'll show you that in a second where we have a solution so you don't have to do handwritten logs anymore. It allows for automated alarming and excursion. So as soon as you get an alarm, you can get an automatic email and phone notification letting you know that alarm has occurred, allowing you to react a lot faster than with some other systems where you had to be there physically to know that there's an alarm. It does come with a detachable probing glycol and allows for the exact type of reporting that the CDC requires. So we do have options within our system that clearly state, you know, this is for VFC users. Download this type of report to submit to the CDC. Some of the recommended CDC guidelines is easily adjusted settings, which you can do either through the cloud or our mobile app. So both systems will allow you to easily adjust settings as temperature parameters, the high and low alarms, the interval that you want the logger to record at, among other things. It does have a digital display so that if you do wish to continue with your handwritten logs, you can. The temperature of the last data point that was recorded will display on the logger itself, and it will display the battery level as well as if there are any alarms or not. It has data export and reporting tools. So you can go into the cloud system or, again, the mobile app to download the reports that you need to submit to the CDC, or, again, if you have internal business needs, there are a lot of ways to manually download those reports and customize them to see exactly what kind of data you want to see. And again, automated email and text alerts for temperature excursions. With our solution, again, one of the things I want to highlight is the automation aspect of this. There is little to no training for clinic personnel if you set it up in the correct way. So we have a system where if you send our devices to a centralized location and have the central office, it might be corporate headquarters or however you organize, pre-configure our gateways and loggers. When you send those out to the individual clinics, nurses, clinic managers, all they literally have to do is press a button to wake up the logger, and then the gateway does the rest for you. The gateway will automatically program and start up the logger, and it will begin recording. So they don't need to go into the mobile app if they don't need to. They don't have to go into the cloud solution. We can set it up again in a way where there is no training required for those people. If you want to handle the system another way, there's definitely a lot of options. The system is very flexible. So if going in that direction doesn't meet your business needs, then we can set it up in many ways. But the way I'm highlighting today, I believe, is the best way to do it so that you can minimize the amount of training, especially when you're in a market that has such high turnover. We do have annotation capabilities for our reporting. We refer to it as data segmentation, where you can go to an individual download and look at the data and say, okay, here is a temperature excursion, and you can annotate that point in time directly on the graph to say temperature excursion because the door was open for inventory or the power went out, and then add another annotation to say, this is how we handled the temperature excursion. That's something that the CDC is looking for in their reporting. They want to have that kind of information whenever you send out the reports in terms of temperature excursions. So it's a really simple way to add that type of information to your reporting. It is centralized data storage and reporting, which is something, again, that the CDC recommends. They look to have that kind of functionality within a system. And again, we have automated logger programming, downloading, and reporting. So using our gateways, the gateways will automatically recognize the logger. They will program them after you press the button and wake up the logger. They will program them and start them. And then you can set the gateways up to download and restart every single day, week, or month, depending on how you want to set that up. And that automatic download will send you reports automatically as well. And one of the options there is to send the report that is required for the CDC. So again, there is a lot of automation in this system so that once you get it set up initially, which can take some work depending on the size of your organization, when you get it set up for the first time, you can essentially just let it go and let it do its own thing, and everything should come to you as needed. And then if you need to do something outside of that that's special, like with customized report, it also has that functionality. As I mentioned, we wanted to highlight something that we called a centralized system. What that is we're saying that there's going to be one account for all locations. And we do have a very sophisticated system where you are able to adjust roles within the system itself. So some people might have access to the full system where others are extremely limited. And there are a lot of options to either give people permissions or restrict them depending on what kind of training you want to have them. Again, for someone at the nursing level who's actually doing the daily checks or around the refrigerators and freezers or whatever devices you have, you can do those daily checks through the system, and all they they don't have to do anything from that system. Everything will be done through the gateway. Automated notifications and alarms. Again, that's the gateway will push out a download, and it will allow you to, or allow the system to send out those automated reports. Data tags for organization and customized reporting. So this is saying if you need to set it up in a way where you need to differentiate one refrigerator from another refrigerator in the same room or in the same building, we have the ability to assign a logger with a data tag so that when you receive the reports, it's data for only that refrigerator or only that freezer or only that unit. And it's not just limited to what type of refrigerator. It could be literally anything. You can say that it's a refrigerator in Clinic 1 at location A, however you want to set it up. There's really endless possibilities for the system in terms of the data tags. Again, we have rule creation and privileges, which you can either restrict or give permissions to depending on the type of person who is using the system and how much training you want them to have. And everything mentioned before was in our InTemp Connect system. You do always have the option of using the mobile app as well, which is very convenient with people who are actually on site. The mobile app will connect with the loggers and the gateways that are on site so that you can view multiple loggers at once if you have several in the same area to do a quick check of temperatures. And you can do downloads and send reports through the mobile app itself. And the mobile app is also where you're going to perform the daily checks that are required from the CDC. So I will show that to you in a little bit where you would set that up. But to do the actual check, you log into the app, and then you just click a button to do the daily check, and that will record in our system and come out in the reports that are printed for you. Then, of course, you can also program restart a data logger from the mobile app, but again, we're looking for the centralized solution using the gateway so that everything is automated for you. So I'm going to go into a demonstration of InTemp Connect now, show you how we can achieve all this. The first thing that we're going to look at here is the roles and privileges that I was mentioning. This is, again, where you would come in and create a role. So you can have a clinical program manager, you can have a nurse, you can have someone in QA, and they all might have different privileges within the system. Anything over here is for the cloud, and then anything with this symbol is for the mobile app. So again, there's a lot here, and there's a lot of ways you can change up roles and create different roles, all with different privileges so that you can really restrict people in any way you need to and reduce the amount of training that you would need for someone such as a nurse or whoever is doing the actual daily checks. The way that works is you create users, and then you have the available roles that you just completed. So whenever you create a user, you just say what their role is. And if there's a nurse, they might not have any privileges whatsoever. If they don't, they still have the ability to go into the mobile app, view the data, and do the daily checks. So you don't even need privileges for that. And they won't have any access to anything else, which means they really don't need any training. Look at configuration profiles. This is where you're going to actually program the logger to do what you need it to do. So you can choose a logging interval, and the one thing, or a couple of things I really wanted to highlight here are the daily checks. So again, CDC mandated, they want you daily checks. You can choose once or twice daily. Once you enable that, it will prompt the user through the logger itself to request a daily check. So if somebody misses a daily check, the system's going to record that. If they are there with the mobile app and they do the daily check then, the system will record that as well, saying that the daily check was done, and you will no longer have to handwrite these into written logs and fax them over to CDC. you can just use these and send those over to the CDC with our reports. Very customizable alarms here to choose exactly whatever ranges you need depending on what product that you're monitoring in your storage units. There's a lot of flexibility here. This is where you're going to have automated messaging if there is a temperature excursion, and this is for just additional reporting. So this isn't going to give you automated notifications if an excursion does happen, but it allows you to do extra analysis if you need to. So you have a 2-day here, you can have a 0 to 10 here, just so that you can do additional analysis in case you want to see if a product is still really viable or not, and then just have this kind of be a warning to say you need to react immediately so that you're not going to waste any product. The way you get those automated notifications is through here. Here's your alarm notifications, and using trip information, like you see here, I already set it up to say, okay, you have hundreds of clinics. You want to see, or you want only Clinic 1's alarms to be filtered to them and to you yourself at, let's say, a organizational corporate level. You can create as many of these notifications as you need so that you're getting automated alarming notifications through either email or text message. There is also the ability to show missing gateway alarms so that if your power ever goes out or if something gets disconnected after so much time, you're going to get an automated message to say, hey, something happened, go investigate. Maybe somebody tripped on a wire and unplugged it, or the power went out and you need to go and figure out how to get the power back on. Even if these things happen, all data will be saved and stored within the system, and you will not lose it. As soon as the systems are back up and running after a power failure or after it gets plugged in, any data that was recorded will still go up into the cloud, and you will get all that information that you need. You also have data notifications here, and this is the report I was talking about that specifically says VFC. Also used for clinics and hospitals that can be sent to the CDC in place of your written logs. Again, you can create as many as you need. You can have it done by email or text. And just got to make sure that you're clicking the box here to say that you're getting the report that you need to submit. There's customization here to say if you want a Fahrenheit, Celsius, your time zone. So these are your automated reports. So when you program the gateway to say, I want the gateway to do a download every day, every week, or every month, that's what you're going to get with these data reports. So if you say every week, every single week, the gateway is going to do an automatic download with the loggers, and you're going to get an automated report. Again, with trip information, this is how you're going to create the necessary data field or data tags in order to organize all of your data. So if you need to differentiate between refrigerators or different parts of your clinic, you can create a name here, and you can add as much information as you really need to so that you can assign a logger with the appropriate information, and then you can filter your reports based on that. So if you want to say you want to see data for only refrigerator 1 and clinic A, you're going to see only that data based on these trip fields. And the last thing, a couple of things I wanted to show you is here is what we're referring to as logger deployment. So this is really all of your downloads. If you need to come back and get historical data, this is where you would come. And you can see that you can click on any of these to get information on the download itself. You can do a very sophisticated search function here to filter out exactly what kind of data that you need. I'm just going to click on an example report here. And this is where I was talking about annotation. If I come here and say, at this point, you know, here we're using a truck example, but you could say the refrigerator door is open. You can create as many annotations as you need to explain exactly what you want in the report. You can come here to export the data, and it will come up with all the annotations that you put in there. You can filter out start and stop times if you need to. Our system is 21 CFR compliant, so that means even if you're changing start and end point, you're not getting rid of any data. Data cannot be erased, it cannot be altered. What data is in there is in there. So again, we are 21 CFR compliant, which is again another CDC requirement as well as other regulatory bodies. Just to show you some examples, other reports you can have, here is something that you would typically submit to the CDC with the point in time, the date, and every single temperature recorded at that interval. So here we have 5-minute intervals. So you get this information to the CDC. If you need something a little bit higher level, you have these types of reports. Again, with the notifications, these will be automated, and then there's another option to do customized reporting, which I'll show in just a bit. But with here, you can get alarm information, how many high alarms were there, how many low alarms were there, what the alarm limits were, how long were they outside of the alarm limits, was there a probe disconnect, so you'll get even alarms based on that. If your probe automatically, for some reason, gets disconnected by accident, you will be notified automatically through our system so that the nurse, whoever's on site, can go in and plug it back in and make sure the recording is happening. You have all the information, and again, here, if you're doing annotation, you'll see here that maybe power went out, this is how we handled it, or whatever we need to put in here. Your statistics, and this is what we mean by that the system is 21 CFR compliant and there is traceability. It says who did what. Here, when you see downloaded by 65000, that means the gateway did the download. So it's saying exactly what happened within the system and who did it. So that's a traceability that you're going to need for audits or whatever internal business needs that you might have, like with validation or qualifications, and then again some basic statistics. So these are fairly comprehensive reports that you can look through, and if you need more detail, you can keep scrolling down, and here you can see we have this program for daily checks, and the person here missed that check. So you're going to see that. And that's something that the CDC, again, is going to need to see. Might say mischecked here, but then the check was done there. So if you do miss a check, there still is an opportunity to do the check later on. You'll see that in the report. If you do need to customize your reports, then we have several options through Report Builder, My Reports, and Delivery Schedules. So what you can actually do is filter your data based on this search here, create a safe search, and then create a delivery schedule based on that safe search. So if you want to see a report every single day for a particular refrigerator, you can create a safe search based on that using the trip data that you created and say, I want to see the raw data in an Excel format version, or you want to see all this data in a PDF version, again, time zone, data range, anything that you might need, and then send it to the proper email address. Going back to the presentation here. Just going to quickly go over what our products are again. Here is what you would typically be using for storage monitoring. It's our CX400 series of loggers. There's different options that we have. You can have it without anything if you're doing ambient readings, or if you want to just let it sit in a refrigerator. Again, the CDC is requiring a probe and glycol that is detachable, so that is the middle option there. As you can see, there are large LCD displays with the current temperature, tells you if there's an alarm. There is a display to tell you how much battery life is left. There are options to have the alarms be audible, so that if you're not in the room at the time, you can have an audible alarm as well. Again, if there is an alarm, there is an automated way to have the system tell you through either text or email that an alarm has occurred and that you need to see what's going on. The probe is its own sensor itself, and then the logger can monitor ambient temperature, so you'll be doing dual readings there. The ambient temperature as well as the internal temperature of the storage device of the refrigerator or the freezer. These are miscalibrated, and we do have a recalibration program. The gateway is what is going to allow you for a lot of automation. So again, the goal here is to create a system that is very hands-off, very automated, that creates automated reporting, requires little to no training whatsoever. Again, some upfront work to get the system going, but after that, everything should run smoothly and everything should be done in an automated way. It does ensure, again, 100% data recovery. If the power goes out or something gets disconnected, it will be stored, it will be sent up to the system as soon as everything is back online. It is secure wireless or Ethernet transitions. So for the gateway to communicate with the cloud system, which is what we were just viewing, it does need Wi-Fi or Ethernet connection. So if wireless isn't very reliable, you can plug it in a cord and make sure you have reliability in that sense. But it also gives you flexibility to move things around if you need to. And again, it enables real-time alerts. You do, of course, have the option of using the mobile application. If they don't have any permissions to do anything in the mobile application, they still can go in, they can still view the data at least, and they can still do their daily checks. If you give them advanced permissions, then they can do downloading, configuring, and starting, reprogramming the data loggers if you change any of the configuration profiles. And using the mobile app will also sync to the cloud automatically. And then the cloud-based solution, which is what we just demonstrated. It's easy to manage, it is free, it is secure, you're not being charged for downloads. To use the system, it is free to sign on. It is customizable in a lot of ways. We showed you how it is customizable through reporting. So if you need specific reports to show specific data, you can customize it that way in terms of that, and also permissions and how the loggers and gateways behave. It does have intuitive alert and notification set up, so now we can set things up through the gateway. Again, all they have to do is press a button and you're good to go. Advanced searching and analytical reporting. And again, fully validated, 21 CFR Part 11 compliant, GDP, GLP, CDC compliant. So you're hitting all of your compliance requirements there. And again, I believe that this really helps with your business needs as well. So that if you're finding that with your current system, there's a lot of costs being incurred for training, or if you need a more intuitive system that allows you to be more proactive instead of reactive to temperature excursions, we have a really robust solution to make sure that you're getting all the information you need to help really reduce costs, make things a lot easier for you, make things a lot more efficient. Just to give you a little overview of our company, we've been doing this since 1981. We are located in Cape Cod, Bourne, Massachusetts. If you're familiar with where that is, we're just right over the bridge on Cape Cod. We are recognized as a global leader in data logger monitoring solutions. We are quality-focused, lean manufacturing operations, so we are very focused on making sure that we are providing you with a high-quality product and service. So we have a team here to assist with any issues you might be having with the system or the loggers, and we are here to help you with setting up a system, again, to meet your exact business and regulatory requirements. There's training and programs set up available on request, and a fully supported technical support team to help you with anything you need. So that's the end of the presentation. I'm going to start going through some of the questions that I've received now. Feel free to continue sending in those questions. We still have a decent amount of time here. One question I got is there any signal degradation through certain types of wall ceiling construction? There is not for the most part. If you have very thick, and I mean very thick steel walls, that could mess with it, but our gateways are programmed to be able to connect to data loggers and phones via Bluetooth up to 100 feet away. There's no issue with it going through regular walls or going through steel refrigerators or anything like that. You do not require repeaters or amplifiers. If you need to go beyond 100 feet, then you just need to purchase an additional gateway to hit the other parts of your organization. But again, they will go up to 100 feet in range, and there really isn't much that's going to affect the signal there. For a multiple location setup, do we need a gateway at each location? Can mobile apps substitute the gateway? Again, you don't necessarily need to have multiple gateways if everything is within 100 feet. If it is greater than that, then yes, you will need something. And you can have the system behave in a way where you can actually group the data loggers so you're not getting multiple reports of the same data. So you can actually have them work together to record data and making sure there isn't any overlap. If things are a little bit less than 100 feet away and you think there might be some overlap, it does work intelligently in that sense. And then the other part of that is, yes, you can use the mobile app to substitute the gateway. The only issue is you're not going to get the level of automation that you may require there. So again, with the gateway, that's how you're going to get your automated alarm or notification. So it'll tell you if the data logger has alarmed immediately through text or email. It's how you're going to automatically program the loggers and download them. So really that is your automation solution here. If that's something that you don't think will really work for your organization, you can most definitely use the mobile app as a standalone solution. The daily check will remind you if you have it enabled. The data loggers will show that a daily check is required. So there is a reminder there. Another question is there a copy of this presentation? Yes, we can definitely send out a copy of this presentation to everyone. And of course, if you need to ask further questions, you can contact someone here at Onset. We have a great team that's able to answer any of your questions if we're not able to answer them today. So another question we have here is, do I need a gateway to process data logger information from my phone app to InTemp Connect? The gateway and the phone app are separate. So if you don't have a gateway, you're going to use the phone app. If you do have a gateway, you can still use the phone app if you want to do a download right there on the spot. And then push the data up to our cloud solution from the mobile app as well. So you can use them in conjunction with each other. But if you don't have a gateway, then you're only using the mobile app. Clearing the min and max on the data loggers is a question we get very frequently. So the gateway, if you program it to download and restart, there's different options for downloading. So you can download, continue, download, restart, and download and stop. Really, the best solution for everyone here is to download and restart. When it does a download and restart, it will clear the min and max of the data loggers. If you want to clear the min and max of the data logger outside of the gateway download, so the gateway, again, will only do it every day, week, or month, depending on how you set it up. If you need to do it more often, then you can do it through the mobile app, or so you can do it through the mobile app, and you can clear the data that way through a download and restart. So someone asked to explain the calibration process. So as the loggers are developed here on site, actually, so we produce our loggers here on site, they do go through a calibration and NIST program. And you will be provided with the calibration documentation for every single logger that you purchase. And that will be delivered with the loggers themselves. So you will get the piece of paper that you need to show that it is miscalibrated and with the different temperature points it was tested at. So you will have all the documentation you need. If you lose the documentation, you can always reach us again to have it resent to you. We always keep it on file. So if you are being audited, we are able to produce that again for you, and you will have the documentation you need to prove that it has been calibrated and that it is NIST-reviewed. In terms of power failure and notifications, again, if there is a power failure, everything is saved in the, and then it will be communicated back up to the cloud as soon as power is restored, and the notifications will be sent. If the power goes out, it will also send you, over time, over a certain period of time, it will send you a notification if you set up the system that way to say that there is a missing connection with the gateway. So you will get a report or a notification saying gateway missing, and from there you'll be able to know that you need to go investigate what happened, so if there was a power failure or something got unplugged. But you will definitely be notified as soon as everything is restored. Then you can go back and, the system will automatically boot up again and send you all the information that you need. So in terms of recalibration, the loggers are NIST certified for 1 year. The batteries last about the same time, and just to make a point about the batteries, actually, loggers are the 400 loggers series at least run on AAA batteries, so you can easily replace those, which makes it very convenient. Recalibration is, of course, for the multi-use function of the loggers. The 400 series are multi-use, and all you need to do is work with our sales team here to start up a recalibration program. You will send it in, and we will immediately be able to send it out a new logger so that there is no interruption in logging. So you can actually receive the logger before you need to replace it, and then send it back to us, and then we'll recalibrate that logger. So we kind of switch it out to make sure that there is continuous monitoring. So I mentioned battery change, which is another question. They are AAA. After a temperature excursion occurs, the system will do a download and restart, which means that the data will be reset automatically. How is duration of an alarm determined? I have had some that on the report it states that duration was 18 days or 90 days. So for this question, not sure if you're really referring to how long will alarms stay in place, or how is the alarm reported in the documents that you receive and reporting. I'll just answer both. The alarm will not disappear until the system does a download and restart. So as soon as the download and restart does, the logger or the alarms will go away, and they will be started to record new data. In terms of the report, it will show you how long the temperatures stay above or below your limit. So you will see there the duration of that temperature excursion. Yeah, and can you program different conditions for high and low alarms? Yes, you can. You do have the ability to create multiple cloud alarms, which again will not create automated notifications. There's only one alarm that will create automated notifications, which you can only do one set of. You can create as many cloud alarms as you want, though, for programming. And with those alarms, you can create buffers either by doing consecutive or cumulative, meaning if you can say for cumulative, if an alarm goes above it for an hour cumulative, that means it can go in and out, and if it goes out of range and adds up to 1 hour, then you'll get an alarm. If it's consecutive, that means it has to stay above that temperature for 1 hour consecutively. So you can put in buffers that way if you need to, and there are a lot of different ways you can change the higher and low alarms depending on what your needs are. So that is the end of the questions that I have. Hopefully this helps you to think about what solutions you need for your business. Again, I think we provide a really great solution to create automation, to really reduce costs for you, create efficiencies, reduce training, and you can see through the system that I did that it does have all the capabilities of starting, programming, downloading, restarting, everything you really needed the system to do in an automated way, again, with just a little bit of upfront work. You can definitely go to our website to look at our product, our prices. They are put up there publicly, so you can look at the prices, and you can always contact us if you have any further questions or if you would like to begin a program with us. As I mentioned, we're here to help set up the program and answer any of your questions. I want to thank everyone for coming out today and viewing our presentation. I hope that it was useful to you, and I really hope that we are able to develop a relationship with each other and begin a program that really helps out your business. Thank you again. I hope everybody has a great day.